St. Thomas. There are two basic things that St. Thomas stated that I repeat endlessly. When he asked why there are so many different things in the world, and he says that the divine being could not make another being like itself. He couldn't make another deity. So the divine created a great diversity of things so that it could give expression to and share existence. The basic law of goodness is sharing. The basic law is a generosity to give. But the divine couldn't give. So he had to create us so that he could have someone to commune with. And so he created the great diversity of things. But the great diversity so that the perfection lacking to each mode of being would be supplied by all the other beings. So that every being is woven into a tapestry, as it were, of the whole. And that tapestry of the universe is the basic concern. It participates in, Thomas says, that tapestry or that community of beings participates in and manifests the divine more than any single being whatsoever. So, the purpose of existence in a religious context is, the very purpose of existence is the community of existence. And until we learn to live in community, in this larger community, then we will be imperiled, progressively imperiled, as we are at the present time of getting more deeply imperiled. Now, I have spoken in a bit of detail about the challenge that we face. But there's a question of to what extent is a change taking place in our time? To what extent are there movements? Is something being done? Well, I could go through an enormous number of creative events that are taking place in education, in the political order, in the education, in the four establishments. In education, particularly, there's a great many movements from kindergarten on through elementary school, through into the universities. In fact, the university leaders are now meeting on an international scale to foster programs that would be that would develop in students and in all the subjects taught a way of relating to the planet Earth. There is in farming, in agriculture, in forestry, a similar way, so that so many things are happening religiously. Things are being done, but not as rapidly as I would like to see it done. But then the time will come. But in the political order, a great deal is being done also. So what a person can figure, and even monasteries are beginning to transform themselves. In fact, there's a foundation, the first ecozoic monastery is being founded in Vermont now by a young nun. Some young nuns now call themselves feral nuns. Because they are doing new things. So that it is a glorious period in which to live, but the condition is to enter into a new way of being present to the planet Earth, and to be present to the planet Earth and to the universe as a member of a great community, but having our significance determined by our place in the great community, not by us being the basic referent of everything else, but the great community is the reference that validates our own existence. And once we begin to accept that type of a context in which to think and in which to act, then we will get on with the task before us. But I suggest, going back to this question of what is the primary thing, is wonder for the mind, beauty for the imagination, and intimacy for the emotions. So that once we begin to appreciate these aspects of our human experience, then we'll have the courage to begin limiting our destructiveness. We'll go into the future with a new mind. We can't do it. Now, there's a book written called Natural Capitalism. How many of you have seen that? A few. Oh. This side wins. But it's a superb book by Paul Hawken and Amory Lovins. Amory Lovins has genius insight, I think, into the way he deals with energy and so forth. But it is an effort to reduce our impact on the natural environment by using solar energy, by reducing our demands we make on the natural world. But the basic difficulty, and this, I don't think this book will, in recent times, I don't think it will be improved upon, basically, in what it says, and in developing what's called the natural step. The effort of industry to so develop its own functioning that it would, once a natural resource enters into the system, it would be cycled and recycled endlessly. In fact, there is one carpet manufacturer, industrial carpet, with over $100 million business that completely reuses material and so forth. So that there are these movements that's called closing the loop economically. And it's an impressive thing. But somehow a person feels that it'd be a help, but it's still in the category of use relationship. And the mind, and that's what's the purpose really of this center over these years, is that we have been trying here to establish a different, we're trying to position a human in relationship to the rest of the natural world. Again, going back to my patron saint, St. Thomas. I took the name Thomas after Thomas Aquinas when I originally went to a monastery and got myself out of the commercial world into another world. But the Aquinas also said that the order of the universe is the ultimate and noblest perfection in things. Now, that applies for the universe. It also applies for the planet Earth. It also applies for the local bioregion that we're living in. That within the perspective of our action, that the perfection of the bioregion and our intimacy with that, our appreciation of its beauty, our appreciation of its wonder is the way to go. And as soon as that happens, and a person can get that from children. You can't talk to children except through drawing pictures of rabbits and squirrels and trees and rivers and mountains and seas and all that. It's the only way you can talk to a child. I mean, you tell them stories at night, at that mystical moment when day turns into night. You have to talk to them about the world they live in and what the rabbits do and what the birds do, and because that is an instinctive mode of presence that they have to the world about them, and so with our own existence. Well, I'm sure that maybe you have some questions. I hope I haven't kept you too long.